Welcome to the Midnight Narrator, where every story holds a dark secret and every whisper tells a chilling truth. Tonight's unsettling tale, The Deep End, explores the unthinkable grief of a parent searching for answers and the horrifying discovery that follows. Sometimes the places we feel safest harbor the darkest secrets. Are you ready to uncover the nightmare beneath the surface? All right, kiddo, we're here. If we're quick, we can hit the splash zone before we leave. I tousled Leo's hair, giving him a gentle nudge. He crossed his arms stubbornly. The swirling slide is the best. Most enjoyable, I corrected. Whatever you say, Lee. He nodded, a small smile playing on his lips, and dashed off. He navigated through the crowd, weaving between families and groups as he headed toward the row of mobile restrooms. This was one of the few times Leo had ventured to use a public restroom alone recently. He was improving, but being in a crowded environment, I kept an eye on the door. I've replayed it 1,000 times. I would have seen anyone entering or exiting. I looked away for maybe a few seconds. Could he have come out that quickly? And if so, why would he run off in the opposite direction? About 5 minutes after he went in, I stood up and leaned against the side of the nearest restroom unit, in a low voice, trying to be heard over the din of the water park. "Buddy, it's me. Everything okay in there?" I heard a sound from inside, I'm certain of it. It wasn't my imagination. A soft thump like something heavy shifting. I turned and saw my partner Jamie, holding 2 frozen treats and waving. A trip to the water park wasn't complete without them. I smiled and made a face as a joke. "All right, Leo, I'm coming in." The door wasn't locked. I opened it just enough to slip inside. I blinked, looking around. I turned completely around. I checked the adjacent units and came back. He couldn't have. I looked down into the waste tank below the toilet. "Leo." I stepped outside and walked around the unit. "Leo," I called again, my voice rising. Jamie appeared beside me, holding our younger child, Maya's hand. "What is it? Where's Leo?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. I don't know. He was just inside." "Maya, did you see him leave?" Maya shook her head, putting a spoonful of her treat in her mouth. "You were supposed to be watching him," Jamie said, her voice strained, a hint of accusation in her eyes. "I know." I grabbed the arm of a person nearby. "Excuse me, did you see a young boy leave this restroom?" I described Leo. He saw the panic in my eyes but shook his head. "Sorry, try the information booth. This probably happens all the time." He offered a sympathetic look. Jamie started to cry, which frightened Maya. I ran ahead, cutting through a play area and hurrying to the information booth. "Excuse me." A young attendant in a blue uniform stood up from behind the counter. "Can I help you?" "My child. I can't find my child. Can you make an announcement?" The attendant hesitated. "Yes, just a moment. I'm still in training, so I need to." "I don't have a moment. If you can't help, get me someone who can," I said, my voice sharp. Another attendant, also young, approached. "Hey, you can't speak to them like that," she said. I pointed at her, my frustration boiling over. "I'll speak however I need to. Get me a manager or I'll find one myself." Security was called, mostly because of my outburst. I was shouting, knocking over displays. I was out of control, Jamie later told me, her own grief manifesting as quiet withdrawal. Security told me to calm down or they would restrain me. They made an announcement over the park's system. "Leo, your parents are waiting for you at the information booth. Please go to the nearest staff member and they will bring you there." "Don't worry," the information booth supervisor said, trying to reassure both Jamie and me. "We've notified all our personnel. He'll be back soon." Lost children were apparently common in such places, but Leo didn't return. "How do you go home after that?" "We stayed as long as we could. We told Maya that Leo was lost and people were helping us find him. She asked why we weren't searching. She started to cry. Jamie held her close, her gaze distant. The strange thing about people is how effectively we can deceive ourselves. A part of you knows the truth, but we cling to hope. After the first day, I knew, deep down, I'd never see Leo again. But I persisted. My desperation for answers strained my relationship with Jamie. She retreated into herself while I became obsessed with finding answers, any answers. I was foolish to think I would have any chance in the protracted legal proceedings that followed, a drawn-out battle against the park's legal team. They argued it was parental negligence, not park liability. Then a discovery was made. If I couldn't have answers, my family or my child back, at least there would be accountability. For the past year, I had been involved in media outreach, giving interviews, becoming the kind of person I used to criticize, all to bring attention to the park that had taken my child. Jamie rarely spoke to me during this time, her grief a silent wall between us. The park was small, and the local media coverage impacted their business. This wasn't the first incident in the park's history. They had a history of minor accidents and lawsuits, whispers of negligence that had been swept under the rug. This was the final blow, and they were forced to close. The demolition began. I watched, a hollow ache in my chest. Jamie stayed home with Maya. I was about to leave when a commotion stopped me. "Get the heavy equipment." The workers were in a frenzy. No one stopped me from getting closer. It's gone. It's not moving." "Call someone." "Who?" "The authorities. The Wildlife Management Agency. Someone." "Where did you find it?" "In here." "Well, check it. Be careful." I moved along a piece of machinery close enough to see. The sight made me weak. I couldn't process it. Lying there, covered in marks, was a large reptile. It was enormous, the largest creature I had ever seen, longer than a large vehicle. It looked emaciated, its skin stretched taut over its bony frame. "What happened?" one worker asked another. "We were clearing the area when the machine hit these mobile restrooms. This thing came out from underneath. There's a drainage pipe that runs under the whole park, connects to the nearby lake. This thing must have come through there years ago, found a place to hide under the restrooms." The workers began taking pictures. The foreman called for the worker who had gone to check beneath the units. "Get out of there. It's just debris." "Boss?" The site went silent. "What is it?" "There are remains. Human remains." I woke up screaming the next morning. I went for the news. The remains belonged to 10 individuals, children mostly. The reptile was an invasive species, over 20 feet long, likely thriving on the waste and runoff beneath the park. It had found a suitable, hidden environment beneath the restrooms undetected for years. It was a local headline for a day. The park's former owners still had influence enough to bury the full extent of the tragedy. What did I gain? Closure? I would have preferred my unanswered questions. I would have preferred to live with the uncertainty, rather than the horrifying certainty of what had happened to Leo. The image of that creature, and the knowledge of what it had done, would forever haunt me. The deep end of a nightmare I could never escape. And that's the end of the deep end. A parent's relentless search for their child led to a revelation far worse than they could have ever imagined. A hidden predator, thriving in the shadows, claiming innocent lives. The truth can never stay hidden forever, and some mysteries, once uncovered, change us forever. If tonight's story left you chilled and questioning the safety of even the most mundane places, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more haunting tales. Until next time, remember, the past always has a way of reaching out, and sometimes it's far closer than we think. This is the Midnight Narrator, signing off, but always watching from the shadows.